Good evening, welcome to the Winthrop Town Council meeting for Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Here in the Harvey Hearing Room, we are on Zoom. The meeting ID is 82066-827-964. Passcode is 509355 and the phone number is 309-205-3325. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Here.
Council Tassinari.
Here.
Council Malat.
Here.
Council Dimes. Present. Council Romano. Council Reardon.
Here.
Council Finn.
Here.
Vice President Swope. Here. President Lettieri.
The meeting is open, see the quorum. I ask you to please stand for a pledge and please remain standing after. Councilor Tassinari.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing with the two citizens over the past few days. One, Bernard Costigan, is a lifelong resident of Winthrop, attending St. John's and Winthrop High School. Bernie served as a proud member of the Winthrop Auxiliary Police for many years, which he felt was a fitting way to give back to the community he loved so much. Bernie reunited with his fellow drummers and Misselmen. He could be found playing the bass drum for many town events, most notably Memorial Day and Flag Day. He coached Little League, softball, and was a dedicated parishioner of St. John Church. Bernie was all about family, faith, and community, and our condolences go out to the Costigan family. We also lost another individual who's, you talk about the Mount Rushmore of different things, and this gentleman was certainly up on that list. Mr. David Hubbard. Many decades of service. He held numerous leadership roles in the town, including town moderator for 25 years to 1980, from 1981 to 2006. One of his proudest honors was being named town historian in 2015. But, I know Dave did a lot of things, and reading about him is just amazing, and I do want to read some of his accomplishments. In addition, Dave was a chairman and secretary of the Winthrop Advisory Committee, president of the Winthrop Hospital, president and secretary of the Winthrop Improvement and Historical Association, and a town meeting member for 42 years. His involvement spanned various organizations, including the Winthrop Industrial Commission, Town Government Study Committee, co-author of the Town Meeting Members Handbook. Dave also served as the president of the Highland School PTA, treasurer of the Dalrymple School PTA, treasurer of the board of directors of the Winthrop Cottage Park Yacht Club, member of Winthrop High Band Parents Association, and Winthrop Savings Bank trustee. He was also instrumental in organizing an Oceanside Big Band and jazz festivals. He was a proud Eagle Scout, past unit leader for Winthrop, an assistant district commissioner for the local Scouting America Council. In addition, Dave was a 32nd degree Mason and served as a chapter advisory for the Acacia fraternity at BU and the University of New Hampshire. He was an active political voice, serving as chairperson of the Winthrop Republican Town Committee. He was a delegate to the Massachusetts Republican Convention. In retirement, he devoted himself to documenting and sharing his deep love of local history. He authored several books on the history of Winthrop and published over 900 articles in the Winthrop Transcript under the column Winthrop Then and Now. Dave shared this passion with the community, delivering talks on the history of the town of Winthrop to students at Winthrop Public School System and public alike through the library, the Parks and Recreation Department. He was a remarkable man. Our condolences go out to the Hubbard family, and please take a moment of silence for these two individuals. Thank you. Before I get to general information and recommendations, we have an old business item to adopt the hazard mitigation plan. And we have our consultant, Martin, here from MAPC, and I'd like to have a motion to take that out of order. Martin has a subsequent appointment. Motion by Councilor Tasneri, second by Councilor Dimes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Yes.
Council Castaneri.
Yes.
Council Milat.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano. He is raising his hand. Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yes.
Vice President Swope. Yes. President Lettieri.
Motion is passed, so we, under old business, town council vote to adopt hazard mitigation plan. Vice President Swope. Okay.
Yeah, we've spent several hours on this. It's a long plan, it's about 224 pages, so I've read it thoroughly twice, so has Mr. Marino, so has certainly the person, the author, has read it a lot. But it's very interesting to read, for those of you who haven't seen it. It does demonstrate how serious we have, what our serious problems are in flooding, and what we may be able to do about it. So it's really a fun to read, and I think it's one that we pulled out after 10 years. So now we have to actually act on it, and we have to make it active in our community and do something with it. So thank you very much for your work. Thank you very much for yours. Thank you. And so it is in accordance with the MGL 40 Section 4 or the charter and the bylaws of the town of Winthrop that we adopt this plan, and I'm glad that you all have agreed to do.
Thank you. There's a plan coming out of committee with positive recommendations. Does not require a second. Any further discussion? I thank the committee, thank Martin for his work, and the town manager as well. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Yes.
Council Castaneri.
Yes.
Council Milat.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano. Council Finn.
Yes.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Vice President Swope. Yes. President Lettieri.
Yes. Motion's passed. Thank you, and thank you, Martin, for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you.
After general information and recommendations, we're happy to have Michael, Sarah, and Steve here.
Yep.
From Massport to give us a brief presentation.
Slide that forward to you a little bit. There you go. Give you a little more.
Mr. President, thank you for inviting us here today. We have a couple ongoing Massport projects. This is the second phase of a runway closure on runway 27. And then we're gonna get into the update on the soundproofing program. So with me is Sarah Denichuk, and she'll talk about the runway closure, and Steve Sofrizio will also talk about the noise abatement program. So, Sarah?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think we're here when September or October. So a lot of these slides will be familiar, but if we want to advance it, I can give an overview of the 27 Safety Area Improvements Project. So this kind of just gives you a visual of where we are working. 27 is circled in green. That is the location of the project. The limits are within the city of Boston, but we're very close to you, which is why we're visiting you again this year, just prior to construction starting. Slide. So the FAA mandated that Massport bring the runway 27 runway safety area up to the federal safety standards. So the runway 27 approach end was last enhanced in 1992 with the construction of an incline safety area. It was mattresses filled with rocks, but newer technologies allow even closer adherence to FAA safety standards while minimizing environmental impacts. So the purpose of the project is to increase safety for aircraft and their passengers in emergency situations by enhancing the end safety area consistent with FAA requirements. So the east end approach of runway 27 does not meet FAA design standards for a runway safety area undershoot or overrun. Runway 9 end safety area currently does. So a typical safety area is about 500 by 1,000 feet. The existing safety area at the end of 27 is 500 feet wide with 150 feet along the center line. So a standard overrun is 1,000 feet long, undershoot is 650 feet. As you can see, we're short, just based on 150. So this 2.7 Safety Area Improvements Project, which we are in year 2, will enhance the safety area consistent with FAA standards. This is a required FAA safety project. We do not extend the runway or change the operational capacity of the runway. No different aircraft, it's really a safety project. So we are constructing a pile-supported deck. This extends the safety area to a length of 650 feet and a width of 306 feet. By installing an engineered materials arresting system, which I will talk about in a minute, within the footprint, it gives us an equivalent level of safety per FAA standards. We are also constructing emergency access ramps on either side of the deck in the event that our fire rescue staff do need to get into the water. So if you look at the picture, that is runway 33 left at Logan. The gray in the middle is an EMAS. So an EMAS is a safety system consisting of lightweight crushable concrete blocks in the safety area. If you get into it, you can kind of crush it up. That can slow an aircraft in an overrun situation. Like if you think a runway truck ramp, these are different. They're meant for aircraft. Each EMAS is designed for the specific runway fleet the aircraft fleet using the runway. It is an approved FAA measure for achieving the safety standards. And to date, Massport has 4 EMAS total, 2 at Logan and 2 at Worcester, and this will be our 5th. This kind of gives you of where we stand with our environmental permitting. We went through the Boston Conservation Commission in 2025. Our MEPA review was 21 to 23. MEPA, along the same time frame, 2022 to 23. We received all our permits between 2023 and 2025 prior to starting construction. We started construction last year in September. I believe it was the day after Labor Day. This year we start August 31st. Labor Day is very late, so we would be finished mid-November. So yes, actually September 2nd is when we started. We reopened the runway on November 14th. We're starting on August 31st, so I believe that brings us to November 13th, 12th or 13th, if my math is correct. And we will be complete by mid-November. One different piece this year is that we are installing a jet blast deflector, which you can kind of see a picture in the lower corner. This will allow for limited use of runway 27 for Group 3 aircraft, like think 737 or smaller, not taking off over Winthrop, taking off in the other direction. And it's very limited based on wind direction and visibility. It's temporary and will be removed after completion of the project. So nothing's gonna be able to land 27. It's just if we need to be able to depart 27 during certain configurations. I think the last year are just some construction photos from last year. These are the piles being driven in. We want to keep advancing. You can see our silk curtain around it, but I mean, it's a massive construction project that's kind of happened over 2 75-day windows. If we want to go to the next slide. So just views of what it looked like September, October timeframe last year into early November. And then the next 2 slides show what it looked like at the end of construction last year. So partially completed deck, we will finish the piles and the rest of the concrete infrastructure inward, and then the EMAS blocks, the concrete, and all the other improvements will take place this year. It gives you an area view of what it looks like.
And then I think the last slide, we're doing a community-wide information session on August 12th. So feel free to call in thoughts, concerns for the community, whatever they need. We'll be there to answer questions.
Work timing, timelines, stop time for construction.
So we start August 31st, same work hours as last
Yeah,
year.
work hours.
The noisy work is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. We start at 8 o'clock on Saturdays and 9 a.m. on Sundays. They may be doing some work on the overnights, nothing noisy, just to keep the schedule. This is, if you really think about it, they're building a bridge in 2 75-day windows. I don't see that often anywhere.
We're also in constant contact. If there's lights pointing in the wrong
Yeah.
direction, if it's too loud, make a phone call.
And
we're done.
We do have daily calls every single morning with the construction team, so Michael lets me know if there's issues and we address them right away.
Any other questions on this project?
All right, thank you. Moving on to the sound program. Steve, it's on you.
All right, thanks, Mike. So as Sarah mentioned, we came and gave an update to you guys last year around September-ish. So these first couple bullet points are kind of repeat and, where we're at. We kind of relaunched in 2020 to 2022 after FAA gave us permission to treat homes that were treated prior to 1993. It really opened up eligibility to a lot of homes, especially in Winthrop. So one new part of the program is these HVAC upgrades, which, previous phases of the program weren't eligible for HVAC upgrades, which is a huge bonus for homeowners that participate in the program now. And Jones Payne is, who some people might have heard from in Winthrop, they are our prime consultant for the project, so they are organizing a lot of the day-to-day and contact with the outreach with homeowners and things like that. And we launched our initial pilot program back in 2024. We started, but we completed construction of that in May of 2025, 5 homes in Winthrop. We've actually done, I think, 3 additional homes in Winthrop in this past spring. So currently we've treated 8 homes in Winthrop, and we'll be building off of that as the program goes into full-scale treatment coming up here soon. So we have an East Boston pilot starting in the fall. In 2026, East Boston hasn't done the pilot yet, so they're a little bit behind the rest of Winthrop and Revere. And then we have additional homes being treated for Winthrop, 26 home package that should be starting late this year, early 2027. So that's 26 homes. So we're actually, we have 8 homes done on Winthrop now. We're going to be tripling that come here late in the year to treat those homes. So those homes are actually the most severely noise impacted. We have all 26 are within what we call the 70 DNL noise contour, which is the highest noise exposure that we have on our map. So those homes definitely need the treatment. And that's how we're prioritizing homes too, as far as who goes first for the program. It's most severely noise impacted first. So highest DNL noise values, which is your average noise level. Those homes will get treated prior to, homes that are closer to that 65 number. So it's, there's no real deciding who gets treated first. It's strictly by the numbers and by the modeling effort we do for aviation noise. So we're also in the process of designing a 60 home package. So we'll be doubling our output after that. And actually we're reaching out to homeowners now, scheduling some acoustical testing, reaching out to homeowners, and then we'll start designing properties once we selected them. Like I said, those homes will be treated most likely later in 2027. So like I said, this program's in full scale now. We've kind of hit our numbers and continue to expand, and we'll probably level out the 60 number for future phases until we treat all potentially eligible homes. So again, that was the last bullet, prioritized based off noise exposure.
Is there a way for residents to see if they were to qualify or not qualify based on those? Or is it a map for the
Yes.
levels?
Yeah, so on our website, and it'll be our last slide here with a link to it, you can actually go onto the website, type in your address, and see where you are relative to the contour. If you're within basically this red line, you're potentially eligible for the program. But to be fully eligible, you still need to be treated prior to 1993 or never been treated before. So there's some homes you can see in these maps here. So you can see the parcels are all lit up here. Those are potentially eligible properties. The ones that are white, those will most likely treated after 1993 and aren't eligible to participate. But all those colored parcels are potentially eligible properties. And these maps are a little busy, but the lines are basically our noise contours. So as you can see, when we came and reached out to Winthrop originally in the 2022 timeframe, we had a very small noise contour due to COVID impacts for 2020. That's that dark blue line. And then you can see in 2021 as operations built up, we continued to do updates to the noise exposure map, and you can see now our most recent FAA approved our 2024 noise exposure map, which is that red line. So again, we continue to expand the contours, expand eligibility. And basically, the Point Shirley area from Cottage Ave southward to Maryland Ave is kind of the boundary. So if you're within that zone, potentially you could be eligible. And then the Court Road area to the left there, if you're within that blue line, those purple parcels, you're potentially eligible. So that goes from like Court Road to Lauren Road is the contour there. And again, the parcels that aren't lit up are most likely treated after 1993 and aren't eligible. But you can see there's a good number of properties here, 432 potentially eligible properties in Winthrop to date. So a good number of homes that will, have to test and get through the process.
Were there no homes in the area, let's say, Warren Street, coming over Belle Isle Bridge, or?
There is off Willis Ave, there's a couple.
Tiles and girls.
Yeah, there's some homes there, it's a very small number. I think we've already reached out to some of those homeowners there, but there is a small chunk, like you said, over by Belle Isle that, kind of next to the car wash there, that are potentially eligible, but the contour is a little bit smaller in that area as it gets a little further away from the airport. But there's a couple of properties there as well, and that's part of the 432 number that we mentioned.
Vice President Swope.
Thanks for coming.
Sure.
432, that's a lot.
Yep.
So I take it now that you're doing mini splits, I think in some of the homes, is that true?
Right, so if the HVAC components to the home, they don't have a pre-existing forced air system, typically we'll come in with a mini duct split system to give them air conditioning. If they have a pre-existing, forced air system, usually we can just add an AC coil and a condenser and you get the people AC. So it depends on each individual home will have an HVAC option, whichever is best for the homeowner and what they have currently in the home. So each treatment option for each home is going to be different because construction is different. What they have pre-existing in the home is different. So we actually design each home individually and they get customized treatments.
And when you say 430, does that include the homes that had been previously treated before, but they are going to be out of compliance?
Right, so the 432 is homes that were mostly treated prior to 1993. Winthrop had a very high participation rate, so a lot of the homes in our contours were treated before. There's very few that were never treated as part of the program, which they'll be potentially eligible too. But it's definitely a heavily pre-93 housing stock here that we've treated before and are now, looking to retreat. Sure.
No, precinct 3, Councilor Romano had his hand raised. Can you?
You should be okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
There you go, sorry about all the technical difficulties. Thank you for coming today, I appreciate the presentation. I just wanted to ask, what's the best way for residents to keep up with the timeline for their specific homes? So they know what phase they're in or when they should expect the work to actually start.
Sure, so probably the best option is to call the noise abatement office, Massport Noise Abatement Office, and we can track down and coordinate with the consultant, Joan Spain, about where the property is in the timeline as far as treatment goes. So we're in constant contact with them, meet with them, weekly to bi-weekly to talk about the status of the program, which homes we're looking at. So it's a constant process, and we're constantly applying for FAA grants to fund the program. So the program is constantly moving. Like I said, we're finally reaching our bigger numbers for treatment packages. So people will be hearing from us more regularly as we kind of up the home treatment numbers here to get to 30 and then 60 in 2027. So the program is definitely ramping up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Amato. And just if people cannot see the screen or whatever, that number for the Massport Noise Abatement is 617-561-3333. Again, 617-561-3333. Councilor Finn?
Thank you, Council President. Just a quick question about the HVAC. Let's say 1993, I think you said is when started this. Say they got new windows or something. Would they still have to wait for HVAC? You know what I mean? Or how do I say this? Since they got their stuff done, so you're prioritizing the other ones. But as far as HVAC, would that be different or no?
So you're saying if the home wasn't pre-93 done, would they get
if it was done, like let's say the windows are soundproofing in 93, HVAC is a little different, right? Is there a different waiting list for that white area?
So in order to get the HVAC upgrades, you'd have to be fully eligible for the program. So you'd still have to be, and when I say pre-93, it's actually, the cutoff technically is January 1st, 1993 or later would not be eligible But, 1992 would be eligible. So that was the cutoff that the FAA used for determining eligibility. So the packages are together. So the window, door treatments, HVAC are all included in the treatment package.
Okay.
But you still need to meet those eligibility criteria, of being in the contour, pre-93. Then we also have to verify via acoustical pre-testing that the home has an interior noise level of 45 decibels or greater. Not to get too technical, but that's the full eligibility criteria.
Okay.
We actually got clarification from the FAA. I know there was a lot of homes that were treated in the town of Winthrop MWA program back in the 1990s timeframe. And FAA is determining they're potentially eligible as well. So you're not necessarily out if your home was treated under the MWA Town of Winthrop program. They could still potentially receive treatment. So those maps you saw include all those homes, because Point Shirley had a bunch of homes that were treated under that MWA program that are still considered potentially eligible pending acoustical pre-testing.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Council, yes.
I've had the opportunity to live down the point, and now I'm actually up over by Ingleside Park, and I've actually noticed the sound levels over by Ingleside Park have steadily increased. I honestly feel, and I know it's not up to you how many in total get done, because we would love the whole town to be done. The one thing I think that's missing here with all these studies, and having pretty much a lifelong experience with sound, we can deaden the sound, but the vibration is still there on the outside of the house. And I have not seen any studies done from the vibration of the planes flying over the house. And I can tell you, being in Ingleside, my house actually, you can feel the vibration in the house on some of the flight paths that go over. When I lived down the point, every flight that was coming by, I could feel it in the house I was living in there. So we can deaden the sound, but there's still vibration that's happening to the house on the outside.
Right, and like I said, the Point Shirley area, with that map, we showed that 70 DNL contour, that's the highest noise exposure, Coughlin Park,
Yes.
Up to, Shirley Street there, those areas are highly, noise impacted.
We know the vibration causes damage.
Right, so vibrational impacts are tougher to deal with than, as you mentioned, the noise. I will say with these homes in the Point Shirley area, in that 70 DNL contour, they're getting some additional treatment options to lessen, again, it's gonna be sound lessening. But they actually treat the exterior walls with thicker drywall in order to, again, alleviate those sound impacts. Vibrational, as you mentioned, is tougher to deal with when it's coming from the ground up, basically, right, and rumbling the structure. So we deal with noise as best we can, and the treatment options do get elevated with the higher noise exposure. But the vibrational impacts are, as you mentioned, more difficult to deal with.
Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll be calling you back, I'm sure.
Anytime.
We appreciate you being. Going to open a public hearing that the town council appropriate $1,100,000 for water meter and valve replacement project. Council Tasnell.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee met earlier this evening on this motion. We had came up with a favorable recommendation. I will read the motion from July 15th. Submitted by Anthony Marino, Town Manager. I move that the Town Council adopt the following order. The Town Council appropriates a sum of $1,100,000 to pay costs to replace water meters, exercise water valves, replace water valves as necessary to the town's water system, including the payment of costs incidental or related thereto. To raise this appropriation by authorizing the treasurer with the approval of the town manager to issue bonds or serial notes under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, as amended, or any other enabling authority, and to take any other action relative thereto. The funding details would be received from general bond obligation, and be placed in the water meter valve replacement project. This is year 3 of that project. Director Calla had outlined for us in the committee meeting, 300,000 would be dedicated to new meters, 300,000 to excise valves, 500,000 for water valve replacement. The exercising of the valves and the valve replacement are very important to be able to isolate breaks and make repairs when needed, and then we're also trying to avoid those estimated reads that we had an issue with earlier this year by replacing old meters with new, more accurate meters.
Thank you.
Ask
Director Calla, if you have any input on this.
Yeah, no, you're coming in pretty well. 3 very important programs. As Councilor Castaneri spoke to, meters certainly helps us with revenue, helps us with customer support. Valves, my example in the finance committee is like, driving a car, not knowing if your brakes are gonna work, right? You want to be able to know that you can isolate your water main breaks. The valve exercising identifies the faulty valves. It helps us better understand hydraulic issues in the town so we can identify, where water main improvements, need to be made as well. So 3 very, very important programs to continue maintenance and upgrades of our infrastructure.
Thank you. Vice President Swope.
I have a question for you. Are private properties required to have a schematic on all of their water pipes and valves and whatever?
There's no requirement. I would strongly recommend having it. You mean complexes?
Yeah, like complexes, that would be a good one.
Absolutely. Again, they're responsible. It's private property. They're going to be responsible for the maintenance of their water mains. They got to be able to isolate their mains just as well. The longer they go, that they can't isolate a break, that translates into
A lot of money.
a lot of water loss to the community influence.
Yeah.
So absolutely is recommended that they.
I don't know if it would be worth reminding the community of that. Just a quick example of what happens when you can't isolate it, because they would be responsible for the lost water. And so, since I know that that's not true in every.
There are certain complexes in town that do it well. Governor's Park is one that has a very good valve and isolation system.
Yeah.
Sail Harbor, as we know, when we had the break over there, that ran for quite a long time because they couldn't isolate.
I know.
And I haven't seen any additional work done since that incident, so hopefully.
And I take it all new properties require.
Absolutely.
Anyone from the public to speak? Anyone else from the council? Council Foskey.
Just a quick question. Thank you, Town Council President. I take it some of this aids and helps the issue we had in February, as far as that valving issue down at the main house at the Short Beach. Is any of that intertwined into this money?
Certainly, the valve exercising and valve replacement helps any water main break, right? We want to be able to isolate. That was a little bit of a different issue. That was a miscalibrated surge relief valve that allows excessive pressure spike to go through the system, which caused 6 simultaneous water main breaks that we had to deal with. It was now, this valve exercising program and valve replacement program now helps that component, right? To be able to quickly isolate and isolate in the smallest footprint as possible so it minimizes how many people are affected. It's all related, but
It is.
yeah.
Thank you. And second question is any of this related to the undergrad funds at all?
No.
Okay, thank you.
This is town of Winthrop money, that's why we're appropriate.
Yeah, this is a general dollar, right?
Good one. Thank you.
Do you want to move from the public?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear us?
Hi, it's Karen Charles speaking too. My question is for Director Calla. Is any priority being given to those houses that you have been unable to change the water meters over the years?
Yes, so we are certainly trying to go after those older meters, Karen. There are certain properties that we're still having challenges getting access, and we will be working with Winthrop Police Department for administrative ones.
So I guess that's my answer that, because I know that in the past, you always said there were always a few that, for one reason or another, they just not allowed to change the meter.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll entertain a motion to take this out of order. Motion by Councilor Romano to take this item out of order, second by Councilor Dimes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those roll call vote, please.
Council Costigan?
Yes.
Council Castaneri?
Yes.
Council Milan?
Yes.
Council Dimes?
Yes.
Council Romano?
Yes.
Council Reardon?
Yes.
Council Finn?
Yes.
Vice President Swope?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes.
Motion passed. There's a motion to waive the reading for a second time from Councilor Tassinari. Motion by Councilor Dimes, second by Councilor Finn. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Council Costigan?
Yes.
Council Castaneri?
Yes.
Council Milan?
Yes.
Council Dimes?
Yes.
Council Romano?
Yes.
Council Reardon?
Yes.
Council Finn?
Yes.
Vice President Swope?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes. Motion passed. So again, there's a motion on the table for the 1.1 million for the water and meter replacements. It does not need a second. Came out of committee with a positive recommendation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Council Costigan?
Yes.
Council Castaneri?
Yes.
Council Milan?
Yes.
Council Dimes?
Yes.
Council Romano?
Yes.
Council Reardon?
Yes.
Council Finn?
Yes.
Vice President Swope?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes. Motion is passed. We have a continued public hearing on the taxi fare increase. I will reopen that public hearing. And we have been asked by the taxi for a fare increase, which is the rules of the town as we have them. Anyone wish to be heard on that? John, before you speak, John, we're gonna have Winthrop Taxi speak on their behalf.
Hi,
Yeah, sure.
my name is Sean Clone, owner of Winthrop Taxi. Good evening. I sent Ms. Quist some information, we can pass it on to the council in regards to the fare increase. We had an increase about 2 years ago of $1. A little disappointing to the employees and the staff at the taxi office and the drivers. We're seeking a $2 increase from $8 to $10 for local fare. I think it's pretty spelled out in my letter to the town due to the increases, cost of living, etc., fuel. On my behalf, it's more maintenance than anything, insurance increases, etc. Cost of doing business. I speak on behalf of the drivers and my personnel. They are looking for increases. They are not making it currently. We are down 3 drivers now. We are trying to bring them back due to the cost of operations, basically. The Lyft operation has picked up 1.2 million rides last year in the town of Winthrop. Uber has just did 1.4 million in the town of Winthrop last year. Basically, it has increased because of Uber Eats and other variable things that they do. Not only do they do rides, but they, deliver food, etc., other things. that also drives them into the town. So not only do they come in for the rides, they come in bringing food, delivery items, things of that nature, which brings more competition into the town. We lost a lot of our airport employees due to the Massport bus that comes in at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And takes a lot of the airport folks to the airport, which has hurt our mornings with our drives very heavily. We used to do 70 or so rides to the airport, just airport employees. I think we're now down to 10. We do offer a discount for the airport employees, especially if they go in multiple groups. I am aware of most of the flight attendant homes that are here in Winthrop, crash pads, if you will. We offer a 10th ride in and out of the airport. We don't have any coming out of the airport anymore because of Uber and Lyft. They have a special program now for the flight attendants and pilots. That is just brought to my knowledge. I'm not aware of exactly what it is at the moment. It's new. Insurance rates are going to increase by 14%. Privately, 28%. Commercially in September. That is across the board. That is right here in the town of Winthrop, 14% for private vehicles, 28% for businesses like myself. That's the biggest increase in 25 years in my industry. I've been in business since 1999. It's the biggest increase ever. We are in the process of purchasing newer vehicles to replace some of the older ones. Again, that all costs money to do these things. I think it's. I think honestly, the dollar was a very disheartening to the staff on the last go around. I think you took away all of the taxi stands in the town of Winthrop. The last time we were here, there was one. And now that the bus lane has come in, we've taken away the only taxi stand in the town and removed it. I've also submitted another letter on a different note for 2 parking spots dedicated to the taxi stand in front of the office on Revere Street. We have a lot of seniors that walk to our office on a daily basis from the Golden Drive area, the Overlook and Kennedy Drive that come into our office from the grocery and wait there to go up to the senior homes with their bundles and things like that. And the bus stop across the street, and the bus stop across the street. They are very familiar with it. The taxi stand has been there for 70 years, as far back as I can see on any, any photo. And it's been taken away now. So we're asking for dedicated parking again across the street in front of our office. The increase is essential to stay in business in town. And again, I'm here on behalf of all of the staff at Winthrop Taxi. Denise has a copy of my letter to you folks. I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan.
Hi, John Morgan, Precinct 4, and a Winthrop taxi customer. What you just heard from the gentleman said there was a fuel cost involved. The drivers pay for their own fuel. They have been for some time. The gentleman also mentioned that his staff are in favor of this increase. Every staff member I've spoken to, it's only going to hurt the company. It's going to hurt the drivers, and I'm totally against it. This increase of $2. $1, as the gentleman also stated, it wasn't a very good idea. Going from $8 to $10 as a senior citizen, if you take the taxi frequently, adds up. And as I stated earlier, the drivers that I've spoke to and some of the other staff are against this because it's gonna hurt the company, it's gonna hurt them in their tips. Also, the gentleman mentioned Uber and Lyft. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. Yes, Uber and Lyft, you have to have a smartphone. And they're more likely to show up because of the limited taxi drivers. But when you get an Uber and Lyft, you don't know who you're getting. There are several stories in the news about these incidents. I hope it never happens here, but with the Winthrop taxi drivers, they know their customers. They know their limitations and go above and beyond to help their customers. A taxi increase will only hurt the drivers, mostly the drivers, because it'll take away their tips, which they have to pay for their own fuel. And everyone knows, well, I don't know how much fuel is because I don't drive, thank goodness. I'd just like to say again, I'm against this fare increase for those reasons. I hope that you will take my words into consideration and do your due diligence and your best to help everyone in the town of Winthrop who does or does not take the Winthrop taxi. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Roxanna, Precinct 2. In his address to you, he mentioned flight attendant illegal crash pads. Do those equate to an illegal Airbnb? And if so,
Should I make a correction? I never said anything about
okay,
illegal
fine,
crash pads.
fine. But you have these
Just said
these airport employee crash pads. Do those equate to an illegal Airbnb? And that we have a limit on the amount of Airbnbs we can have in town? Would that affect them?
That's Harry.
Point of order, it's not part of the public hearing.
It's not part of the public hearing, it is important information though to know. My impression was about this would definitely look into it and ask for locations. And I'm sure these are a group of people renting an apartment, staying there at different times, so. Anyone from the council, vice president Schwartz?
Yes, is there a senior citizen discount?
There is not.
And is there, do you all ever contract with families to take kids to school every single day or
We do
anything
not.
like that?
We used to, we don't anymore.
Are they?
We used to, we don't anymore.
Okay.
Liability reasons, we don't anymore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it true that the taxi drivers actually pay for their own
Drivers
meals?
pay for their own fuel, and we pay for everything else.
Okay.
All maintenance, all insurance, everything that has to do with the vehicle, operations of the vehicle. We take care of everything that has to do with the vehicle.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one question. I don't take Uber and Lyft that often, but what's the average price in town to take an Uber, say up to a marketplace and back?
So Mass General would be $35.
How about locally and here in town?
$10. It's $8 at the moment. Town to town is $8.
And are you talking Uber and Lyft?
No, so if you.
Oh, okay, I'm looking for, I'm sorry.
So the price varies. So if you Uber right now, it'd be about $12. From here to my office, it'd be about $12.
Thank you.
And it varies. So they have the opportunity to change their prices at any moment. So I ran some numbers today. It was $11 to go from 65 Revere Street to my office, right to this building. At 4 in the morning, it could be $15. Depending on the time. Friday afternoon, it could be $24. So I ran them all over. I've sent Denise many times different variables. It could be $4 if there's 20 of them in town. If there's none in town, it could be $30. So it depends. So longest distance would be from here to Dare Island would be $29. So it just depends on where you're going and the time of day that you're going. But again, they can fluctuate at any time and any moment that they want. They have the opportunity to do that. Where I've come before the council many times, and every time I've come, it's been $1 or $2 on increment. So over the years, I've been here since 2010 or 11. I think it's 11. And in that period of time, when I came here, it was $5. And now I'm at $8. I don't think that's quite a jump since 2011. I'm sorry that if the increases upsetting the folks, but gas is $5 a gallon. You don't go far on a gallon of gas. We're in a tight community, and I do have hybrids. So it's not as though the drivers are knocking they're not doing 30 fares a day anymore. They're doing 8 to 12, maybe 15. That's the difference. 12 years ago, they were doing 35 fares a day. With Uber and Lyft now floating around, they're not doing those fares. And that is the problem. That's why the drivers are leaving. Some of the drivers who used to work for us have their own vehicles, and they are poaching the people that have worked with us, and they are using their own vehicles to utilize people here in the town. So it is an uphill battle, and it's only going to get harder.
My concern, I don't think.
Sure.
Yep, one second. I don't feel the request is unreasonable. I look at it and I have concerns because, you know, you said $1 and $2, which $1 seems like okay, but that's a 30% increase in 3 years, which is substantial. And it seems, unfortunately, with technology and such, is we're having a smaller pool pay more money, basically, instead of getting 30 rides. So, you know, the company's still trying to get to the magic number, but they're having less people pay more to get to that number. And I don't see that changing, unfortunately, in the future and I don't know what type of business model we can try to adjust to you know, I know Council Swope talked about rides to school and such, but I'm hoping that other people can look at a business model that might help, because I do think, you know, you're trying, basically the business is being run by a smaller amount of customers, right? You always want to try to increase your customer base so then you can maintain or reduce your price instead of the other way around. I do think there's crazy fluctuation with Uber and Lyft. Like you said, it could be a $5 ride, it could be a $25 ride, depending on the availability at the time. And I think Mr. Morgan made a great point about the drivers. You know who you're getting with the taxi. You know you're getting somebody who's familiar with the area, who you trust. And I totally agree with everything he said. On the other side of that, that all costs the Winthrop taxi operations finances to do all of that through the town. All of the cars are inspected. All of the cars go through a rigorous inspection. All of the cars are licensed. All of the drivers are inspected. All of the drivers are inspected through the town. All of the drivers have hack licenses through the town. All of the Uber and Lyft drivers that flow through here, none of you know. The drivers are just fed up with making $4 on a ride. Totally understand that again, but my concern is that it's not going to, I do also understand Mr. Morgan's point, and that's just a numbers game, right? If something's $8, it's a lot easier giving a driver a 10 and say keep the change. When it's $10, there's no change to give, and that will definitely have an effect on tips. It just will. I understand and that's unfortunate. I mean, I don't want you to go to $12 to make it $3, but I'm saying making it at that even number is tough. It's almost better to keep it at 9 and say, okay, the percentage might not increase in their per driver, but their tip will increase, which will hopefully. It's just a tough situation. My concern, again, is just how to grow the customer base, because if the customer base doesn't grow, and fuel goes up and insurance goes up, you have no option other than to raise the price. And that's just a potential problem. I don't know if you think having additional taxi stands within the town would increase your customer base.
I'm looking for no
No,
single one.
I understand what
So-
you're looking for. I'm just trying to get to a point where, we want you to sustain and be sustainable into the future because you help Winthrop residents. And there's that trust factor that's there and we appreciate it. But it also gets to the point where eventually you price yourself out. And I don't want that to happen.
I totally understand that, and that's why I'm staying at the $10 mark and not going higher. Last year, in the town of Winthrop, just on the cars here, I put 122 tires. It's unheard of in my industry, for the amount of taxis I have in this town. It's unheard of. In history, I don't think I've ever done that in 10 years on my other side in Revere. Just because of the construction that's going on here in the town. You can't keep up with it here. I mean, and I see that Revere Street, for example, is finally coming to a conclusion. But now we're gonna move on to another sector of the town, and another sector of the town. The cars can't keep up with it. If you want me to stay in business, you have to increase the prices. And it has nothing to do with, I pick up at the grocery market and deliver to the senior citizens' homes. I deliver the food. Every order that goes out of that store is $70, $80. I'm sorry. I apologize. $10 is a number, and it has to stay there. It can't go down. Everyone's making more money. It's just a fact of life. I'm sorry, President.
I have it, is Councilor Romano, Councilor Romano?
Yes, thank you. I agree with Mr. Morgan and President Terry's point about tips. I think it's important to keep in mind that for a lot of people, they won't get as many tips. When I say people, I do mean drivers. They will lose out on that tip money, so it doesn't really help them when it comes to paying for that increase in fuel costs if we do this increase. And furthermore, I also question why it's $2 now, when historically it seems like there've been $1 increases. And I just think $2 at once is a pretty big change to have. Probably if we do it in a phased increase, it'd be better. So all at once, or if you have any other ideas, I just think going for $2 now is just tough.
Was there, hold on 1 second. Yeah, Celeste, had your hand up and then Mr. Morgan again.
Celeste Berry, Hewitt, Precinct 1. I feel for you completely. And in this age that's data-driven and technology-driven, it's hard for small town businesses to thrive, but I don't think it's gonna be a single approach. I think if they said today $2, $5, you can have your cold hard cash, that's gonna be a very short time frame. So I think, yes, maybe consideration for an increase, but maybe do something with technology. I think the biggest reason why you lose out to Uber and Lyft is because it's easy, it's accessible. You sit right here, right now, from here to your stand, $10, right? But it's easy to tip too. Now, that doesn't really help a lot with the elders, but it helps with folks that are renting, that are working at the airport. I think, this is one stop, but you need to think outside the box. Maybe legislation that will take some of the revenues and regulate some of this Uber and Lyft and offset impact to small
And I can
businesses like
appreciate
yours.
everything you're saying.
Yeah.
But with all that HIPAA rules and regulations that go behind what you're talking about, the credit cards and things like that, cost an enormous amount of money to protect your information. So where does that money come from? Do you want me to go to $15 to do all that applicational work? That's what that costs. I have another business in Revere, and I know exactly what it costs to do all of that. And
I'll reach out with you, I'll
Winthrop
talk
can't
to you.
afford
I know some people that work in that space and it's more accessible
it.
than
And
you
that's
think.
lovely.
And I know this interplay doesn't fly in town council meetings, but I just
Yeah,
wanted to
sorry,
say out
Liz.
loud, I think that there are solutions to be found in this room, and I don't think it's just the one note, that's all. Thank you for your time.
That's
And I'll
fine.
talk to you after.
Mr. Morgan, please, and then Mas.
And I can appreciate it.
Again, John Morgan, Precinct 4, and the Winthrop taxi customer. I just heard so many different prices around town, and it just blows my mind that if it would have cost $29 to go to Deer Island and $8 as a senior rate at the moment for Winthrop taxi, what would you pick? Also, the gentleman spoke about the Winthrop Marketplace does and his deliveries. The delivery charge 2 years ago was $10 plus whatever tip you decided to give. Now it's $14. And that's just in the last 2 years. How could the gentleman explain that? Now also, again, I'm gonna flip a little bit. If you're able to get a delivery from anywhere through Winthrop Taxi, that's a luxury and you can afford it. But still, going from $10 to $14 in 2 years, just, I don't fathom it. And also I didn't mention, because this isn't part of the Winthrop Taxi, the gentleman owns another company. He has a contract with the state. Many times, his other company, if they're short a driver and they need another taxi voucher, they'll take a Winthrop Taxi.
I'm gonna interrupt you right there.
No, excuse me, sir.
One organization has nothing to do with the other.
You can make a comment after the comment
Okay,
that
I
Mr. Morgan
apologize.
has.
That's what I was trying to avoid. But to take his cab off the road to do a taxi voucher, which at times in the past, I haven't come across it recently, leaves 1 or 2 cabs that cover the town. If a cab goes out of town, the wait hasn't been in the past 45 minutes to an hour. How can you explain that by taking your cab off the road, and to use it for another company? I like to have an explanation for that. And again, if we lose Winthrop Taxi, it will be incredibly devastating to the town of Winthrop. And again, I hope you take my words into consideration and use your best judgment on this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy.
Yes, Marcy Hamilton, Precinct 2. I was just gonna suggest a senior citizen discount should be added to, I know there's a lot to consider when you're making a new business plan, and I think that's what the gentleman has to understand. Times are changing, the app would help, and also recognizing that your clientele is in need of a reduction. I'm a senior citizen now, but I walk around the town. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to address his concerns. So without my company in Revere, Winthrop Taxi will not be in business. Ride Transportation in Revere has many state contracts and has many state contracts for years. And I've had multiple discussions with Denise about that. My organization in Revere pays for all of the operation here. This would not be in business without that. And that's the end. And I'll say no more forever. That's as simple as it gets. No Revere, certainly no this. This is absolutely a wash. This would go away till, if something happened to me in Revere, this would go away tomorrow. And no one would come here to do any business. Please believe me, I've been in business a very, very long time. I'm struggling to make it work because I care about the town and I care about the senior citizen. And I've been in the senior citizen business since 1999. And if anyone questioned my integrity about it, anybody, I do business. So that's not an integrity question for me. So no ride right, no Winthrop Taxi. The magic number is $10 and it has to stay there. It cannot go down. I'm sorry.
I guess a question I would have, and I don't wanna know what the number is, but I'm assuming drivers get a percentage of the fee.
The drivers do get a percentage.
Is it the same?
It's 50/50 is what they get down the line.
Everybody gets the same percentage,
Yes,
like other cities and towns, it's
same thing. We do the same thing, yes. We've been doing this a long time, I'm doing the same thing everyone else did when they were here before. No different.
Any other, yes, sir,
Just
name and precinct.
oh, sorry, Erin Barcelos, precinct 5. Just want to throw this out here, just listening to all of this. And this is just an idea, and not for right now anyways. But like maybe utilizing the Winthrop taxi and the ferry maybe next spring and some kind of a pilot program about, because every time we say let's bring more people here to come experience Winthrop, people are like there's no way for them to get around. Well, how great would it be to have like old school taxi cabs getting you around the small town of Winthrop, right outside of Boston, where you get to actually relax for the day. Just a thought.
I would love to do that. We have a taxi stand dedicated. I think we had meetings with the town manager a few years back, I think prior to COVID. As a matter of fact, Winthrop Taxi purchased three golf carts for the town of Winthrop to introduce people coming off the ferry from Quincy to bring them to the golf course. I think Denise said it on that meeting as well. I think we spent $50,000 on golf carts for that program, and we did nothing with it. As a matter of fact, Winthrop Taxi took a $50,000 loss on that program. So nothing from the town of Winthrop for that. So we did have 2 taxi spots down the Winthrop Landing, and now there's 1. And you know what's in front of it? The bathroom. The outhouse is the park on it.
Ali Foley, precinct,
I think we're getting off topic.
Lee Foley, precinct 6. I just had one question, was why is the town, which doesn't have to be answered obviously here, but why is the taxi company asking the town for approval for a fare increase? And my other suggestion was, why aren't seniors getting a reduced fare, which could be purchased through vouchers, and then the town subsidize the $2 difference, so to make sure that Winthrop Taxi stays in business.
That's a great question. Thank you.
I would be for that.
Disabled, seniors, disabled, and low income. I don't know.
On the first question, I think before Uber and Lyft, if you had a taxi company, it's the only thing in town, the town is protecting from them monopolizing the town, I guess. Now, that's not really a situation, I said that several meetings ago, that, they could, that could be something that is changed, and the taxi company runs at their own peril. They could go to 15 and be out potentially, or they could go to, whatever. That, I think it was a safeguard years back, and I had said a couple weeks ago, I don't know if that safeguard is warranted at this time. And on your other point that, again, we could continue this public hearing and get more information, or we could act on it now, but that's not something we could go into right now, because there has to be justification on the town's platform. Any other public comments? Did we have any councilors that?
No additional questions from me. I asked my question.
Do we wish to close the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed. Would you like to take this up now, or wait till
Take it up, right?
Second by Councilor Dimes to suspend council rules and take this agenda item out of order. Second by Councilor Blah. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Council Costigan,
Yes.
Council Castaneri,
Yes.
Council Malott,
Yes.
Council Dimes,
Yes.
Council Romano,
Is this a motion to take it out of order, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Council Reardon,
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yeah.
Vice
Yes.
President Swope.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Yes. Right, there is a motion that the town council vote to increase the taxi fares from the current price of $8 town to town to $10 town to town. Current prices will be as follows. To go to Logan from Winthrop, $28. Exit Logan from Winthrop, $33.50. I assume it says Winthrop to the Seaport, $38 plus the toll. Winthrop to the Heights, $10. Winthrop to Beachmont, $10. Winthrop to Stop and Shop, I assume that's Revere, $14. Winthrop to MGH Boston, $35 plus toll. That is the motion that is on the floor. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Councilor Dimes. Discussion on the motion. Vice President Schwartz.
I've always been concerned about it since you brought this up before, Secretary, but I'm not sure, given the environment now, that we should be deciding on fares for Winthrop taxi. Given that there's Lyft, there's everything else, so now it's a market that is pretty much open, and it's, I think, a difficult thing for us to try to determine rates and then not provide any other service, essentially, aside from maybe one taxi stand.
No, I don't disagree with that. I had said that again several meetings ago. The lone reason now for us to be doing this is to protect. I think Sean made the comment that, and I don't know if I misspoke, but that the rides are down 30%-ish from 30 rides a day to 10-ish or 8 to 10.
Well, factor on the amount of drivers.
60% decrease. So, I mean, that, we're setting the bar for a smaller number of residents. And my assumption would be, I could be wrong, that those residents are more over 40 than under 40.
Yeah, see more here, but I don't listen here.
Would
Do you
be-
need anything? No, I'm fine.
So my thought is why we're doing it is we're a protector, I guess. But there is a market now. There is a common market, but there are people that don't have the ability to use Uber or Lyft, or the technology driven, that type of device to do that. So it would be, dramatic. And I guess Morgan said that if the task was not to be around. So. I think that's a good question. I don't think it's a question for tonight, but I think it is a good question for future that Winthrop, I believe the town of Winthrop Council should not be involved in setting taxi prices. But any further questions, further discussion on this motion?
I would like to speak.
Councilor Romano.
Yes. So, I agree with Vice President Swope and President Lettieri about, I really don't think the council should be deciding this anymore. I think it's kind of odd in this day and age that the council sets the prices like this. But I will say, if I may, I'm going to make an amendment, if that's okay, to increase it to $9 instead of $10. I just think that's more palpable at this time. So, if someone would second me, I'm going to make that amendment.
All right, there's an amendment made by Councilor Romano to change the proposed fare from $10 to $9.
Second.
Second by Councilor Costigan. Discussion on that amendment. Here, Councilor Tassinari.
Thank you, Council President. I understand what Councilor Romano is putting forward. I think we're trying to make a compromise between having a business survive in the town versus and then also having a minimal effect on its customers who are our constituents. But if our constituents are left without the option of Winthrop taxi, how are they going to get around town by Uber and Lyft? If a $1 increase is not enough to make ends meet, is that a gamble that this council is willing to take?
Well, if I may respond to that.
Councilor Romano.
Thank you, sorry about that. Kind of on Zoom, I'm sorry. But if I may respond to that, I will say that in the past, it seems to me they've done $1 increases before. And I think it'd be better if we just do $1 at a time. And if they want to come back to us in, let's say, 6 months or a year, and say the numbers aren't working, then we can revisit this, but I think just starting at a dollar increase for now, and seeing how that plays out, I think, is the most responsible decision for the council.
And I would say on that amendment that I'm not against the amendment if I knew and had clarity on how we can go about it, what it would take for us to go about having a discussion and changing the policy that the town council is not responsible for raising fares. And if I knew that that policy could potentially be changed in 6 months, I would be much more amenable to going to 9 and then potentially changing the policy, and then Winthrop Taxi does what Winthrop Taxi thinks is best for them. Do we, town manager, do you know the process involved in that potentially?
It's in our ordinance now, but it's not a
I don't
state,
think
it's not a state.
It's not a statement, yeah, it's in your ordinance.
It's in our
No, I know,
ordinance.
is it just a simple, I know it's not in the charter,
Yeah,
and I know
public
it's,
hearing,
right, I
yeah.
just don't know if it's as simple as an ordinance change, which nothing's simple. Municipal
Right.
government, but if it's a 3-month thing, or if it's a 3-year thing, because if it's a 3-year thing, my answer to this amendment would be different.
It's
If it's
ordinance.
ordinances, it's something you can do pretty quickly, but if it's
Councilor
charter.
Dimes, did you have a pretty quick?
Councilor, please,
Oh,
first.
Councilor Tassano.
Thank you, Council President, thank you, Councilor. I do wanna just quickly mention that I know it sounds nice to split the baby in the middle, right? But the cost of car insurance went up exponentially over the last 3 years. Car insurance alone. I'm not talking about gas prices, car insurance. I don't know, how many vehicles did you say you had, Mr. Cronin, on the road?
We have 8 in Winthrop.
Eight vehicles in Winthrop. 8 vehicles to insure, commercially. Totally different than what it costs me out of pocket to insure my own personal vehicle. I mean, I don't know if the other councils have seen those kinds of increases in their own personal car insurance payments.
Yes.
I don't know how it's tough for everyone to make ends meet right now. And I think I just think the risk of losing our own taxi service that services Winthrop, which is, it's 1.6 square miles. That's that's a luxury to even have it in town. I think it's too great to the people who are dependent on that service and do not have access to Uber.
Councilor Dimes.
Thank you, President Lettieri. I just want to clarify that the last.
And we're, just for clarity, we're
Yep.
still talking on the amendments that we're going to.
Yep, I just want to, and it does have to do with that. It has to do with the last increase only being $1. They asked for 2, but only gave them $1. I want to make sure that that's clear in our decision making with this other split. Thank you.
Councilor Finn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Basically in agreement with Councilor Tassinari, it's a big gamble, over $1. The Winthrop Taxi, we one of the few towns, like you said, we're a small town, take great pride in that. They're very good to our citizens. My mother takes it, she's elderly, from Overlook, to the marketplace and stuff like that. And I would just hate to see that service go away over $1. So just wanted to state that.
Councilor Miller.
Just a kind of a point on the amendment where some are vocalizing that let's move forward to let the taxi determine their own rates. And then in the same breath, let's not give them the $2 increase and say, no, we're gonna still regulate it at, what we're deciding to do at this point instead of giving them what they're asking. So to me, it's a little confusing to say, yeah, let's move forward and try and eliminate this, but at this point, let's just regulate it. So I think that's where my mind is divided on this.
I think Councilor Romano's point is, we understand there were increases in everyday expenses and insurance, and fuel and such. We feel, Councilor Romano and I will agree with, feel that $2 at 20% increase is tough to take for many seniors who are probably predominantly the customer base that we're looking at. And I think our job is protecting them in this situation, which I think we need to get out of the taxi business, but and I think the thought is if it takes X amount of time, if it can be done in a relatively short period of time, this gives some support to the business in that 3-month period that they can then decide what's best for them. And it gives some help to the seniors who are seeing a 10% increase instead of a 20% increase. So I think that's where Councilor Romano's coming from on this. Councilor Tassinari?
Thank you for putting it out that way, Council President. It does make a lot of sense when you put it out that way. I still think though, that the risk is still there, whether, because it might not, let's be totally frank about the speed of government in Winthrop. We say 3 months at the table today, probably will be at least 6 before we even hear it again before this table, after it goes through rules and ordinance and has a public hearing there. I really like the way that Councilor Millar put it out there. It's that if we are willing to allow them to make their own decisions on fares and rates, why wouldn't we be willing to give them what they're asking for today in this motion, and then let them decide future motions? My chief concern is that we're not serving the seniors and the people who are dependent on Winthrop Taxi. If we put Winthrop Taxi out of business, I over-regulate.
And if I can just.
Councilor Romano.
Thank you. I agree entirely with what President Lettieri just said. The way I see it is, as long as we still have control over the taxi, we need to do what we think is best to protect our senior citizens mostly. I am for getting rid of it. Until that happens, we need to be responsible. That's kind of where I draw the line. And I also think that I disagree that it would take 6 months. I think rules and ordinance, if it's just eliminating warning, I don't think that we can get it done pretty quickly. And then bring it to a public hearing. So the way I see it is if we do a $1 increase now, that'll last for a couple months. Residents can get used to that. They'll see one increase, and then they'll see a second jump instead of just having a bigger jump at once. And I think that's more palpable.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call vote on the amendment, and just for clarity, the amendment is to alter the increase from 8 to 10 to 8 to 9.
Council Costigan,
Yes.
Council Tassinari,
No.
Council Milan,
No.
Council Dimes.
No.
Council Romano,
Yes.
Council Reardon,
No.
Council Finn,
No.
Vice President Swope,
No.
President Lettieri.
Yes. Motion is defeated. Back to the original motion for an increase for Winthrop Taxi from $8 to $10 for local fares. Any further discussion on that? Councilor Millar.
I would really like to see with this increase a senior citizen discount though, if there's not gonna be one. We're gonna vote on this, and if it does get voted through, I think the health needed to protect our citizens that really rely on this service would be beneficial to the taxi company to have that discount.
Couldn't agree more. However, this is another situation where we're making financial decisions for a company that we have no idea. If 95% of their customers are senior citizens and we're giving a 10% break, then they're back to the $9. So we're making financial decisions when we don't have any of the financial data. So that's, yes, I agree, but that goes back to the point that it should be 9 instead of 10 or whatever. But again, it's hard to make decisions when we don't know the composition of the customer base. Councilor, did you have anything?
No, I was just
okay.
my pen, sorry.
I'll say last thing.
Yeah, Councilor Tassinari.
Thank you, Council President. I think I do agree with Councilor Romano that it is our responsibility to protect people who are dependent on Winthrop Taxi and not able to access Uber and Lyft for whatever reason. And part of that is making sure that Winthrop Taxi stays around, which is why I will vote in favor of the fare increase. Why I was opposed to the $1 amendment.
Any other discussions, amendments, thoughts? Seeing none, let's put it to a vote. Roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
No.
Council Castaneri.
Yes.
Council Milan.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano.
No.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yes.
Vice President Swope.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Motion is passed. And I do think, regardless of this motion, congratulations on for your motion and for the work you do for us citizens. I would like to make sure that that's on the agenda for next week, that we look into changing topics, because again, you make a financial decision without any financial
Right.
information.
Thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of the drivers and the staff, thank you. Thank you for your opinion. It matters, and I will speak to Lisa about that as well.
Thank you, Sean. Public comment.
Yes, Marcia Hamilton, precinct 2. I have on your paperwork the meeting information for Girls Zone Road and Pico Ave for next week. It's the 11th. I was wondering and hoping that you could put it on the signage that we have for on each end of the town, and I'm hoping that people in this area, Pico and Girdlestone, Tileston, will attend this meeting and get the information that was presented here and ask their questions. And I'm hoping that we find the funding, $4.5 million, to do the job the right way. It has to be done. Climate change is real. We all heard that the water level is right where the road is, so it has to be fixed. And I thank Mr. Keller for placing the pump there. The pump is a Band-Aid approach, and every time it rains, I call Ms. Dimes, my precinct counselor, and say, I am nervous, and sometimes the weather's with us, sometimes the weather is not, but I think having the signage here, you'll get more people to come to this meeting, hopefully, and voice their concerns, and then hopefully they will push for the money that's needed to finalize this project, these projects. And there's more projects to be done because climate change is real. As you watch the news every day, we're burning and flooding all through this country, so we have to be proactive. Thank you.
Celeste.
Celeste Brewer, you at precinct 1. Just circling back about the Massport presentation, it's unfortunate that members of the audience didn't get an opportunity to comment or pose questions, even if they're to be answered at a later date. It seems that they described a 7-day per week schedule for the upcoming enhancements to the runway. Last year, they described that when they came to the meeting, that the reason why they're on a 7-day schedule is because their contractors were behind schedule. Now it seems like it's just gonna be a standard operating procedure. My big concern is that pile driving is really maddening. To do it 12 plus hours a day, most days a week, and it all on Sundays, I know was really, really intrusive. So that's one big concern. The other thing too, with the noise abatement, they characterized over 400 homes that would potentially fall on the contour. At this current rate, how many hundred, about 100 years we're gonna take to get them all addressed. I mean, if we can get them to accelerate that timeline, and if we can understand a little bit, I don't think that the explanation that folks who are interested in being involved and having their houses addressed should call is an effective process. I think this should be something a little bit more proactive with them reaching out to Winthrop residents. Thanks.
Mark Center, precinct 2, and I want to circle back to that passport as well. Since the reconfiguration of the runway, when the new runway opened, we paid for with noise abatement, nothing is for free. The volume has increased greatly in the Pleasant Street, Girdlestone, Tileston area. There was a jet coming in last night at about 10 o'clock when I had my dog out, and it was a wave off, okay? And it was loud. It was super loud, okay? And I was on the phone with Jeffrey Turco earlier in the day, and there was another wave off that I witnessed in the Ace Hardware parking lot. These jets coming in are noisy. They're even noisier going out. And since they've had the new configuration, all those jets are that much closer to Winthrop. And I would like to know about their contour study when it was done. Was it pre-runway reconfiguration or post-runway configuration? That's what needs to be answered, and they need to come back and answer these questions.
Thank you. Mr. Downs. An article in the with the transcript concerning you all have a picture of the seawalls that are in Winthrop. I think in the Highlands. There's an article that council is here and wants to undertake improvements to the wall that starts in Winthrop and goes to the gate that's on. I mentioned it in the past. It was dismissed as not necessary. Well, obviously, if you look at it, it's very, very necessary. I have pictures of the wall on Shopgate from the ocean side. I didn't publish those, but the concrete has been washed down to the steel bars, which means it's probably 6 or 8 inches of concrete that's been washed away by erosion over those years. And so, City Council in Revere is undertaking a study to find out how they can fix that. I think Winthrop should look closely at this study that Revere is doing to find out if we can join teams with them, so to speak, and learn about how they want to get the money. And I know it's a long process. Conservation, environmental, Army Corps of Engineers. So if you don't start, it might be too late on any seawall in this town. It should be a small committee, maybe from volunteers or whatever the case may be, to study every seawall. We're having concerns down on the point of that seawall down in Grandview. There was talk down there about increasing the height of that wall because the tide's coming in. And, it could be detrimental to the people down there that have the water pouring in there. It's just like on Grillstone. So I think there should be a study done concerning all seawalls, especially the Short Beach seawall. Follow the City Council in Revere and see what their thinking is. Thank you. Thank you.
Chief. Real quick, I just want to share some information with the council. This is a personal thermal imaging camera, game changer, lifesaver. Okay, currently we don't have these in Winthrop. They clip on a firefighter's gear. And we use it for a search. So during a typical structure fire, as you know, once we go in there, you can't see your own hand in front of your face. You gotta put one hand on the wall, can't leave the wall, go along the wall, your other hand, on your hands and knees, searching for a victim. It's not a clean search, you're hitting beds and bureaus, piles of clothes. It takes a long time to go through a room. With this camera, you can stay at the doorway, scan it, you'll pick up a child under a bed, a baby in a crib, a person unconscious on the floor, instantly. Get in there, get them out. If you scan it and pick up nothing, you go to the next room. Game changer, okay? And also, a lot of fires are electrical, behind walls and in ceilings. This will pick it up right away. It also will tell you which way the fire is traveling, so you can chase it and knock it down quick. Last January, State Rep Turco called me and said, is there something your firefighters need that you know you don't have the money for? I said, yeah, I need cameras. A lot of departments don't have these. They're $1,400 a piece. I need 36, 50 grand. I forgot about the conversation. He called me last month and said, got your 50 grand, order your cameras. I just wanted to share that with everybody. Let you know what I know, that Rep Turco has our back for public safety. Okay? We also got the police $25,000 to upgrade their evidence room. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Okay. Correspondence, please. Committee reports, finance.
Thank you, Council President. Finance Committee met this evening. We discussed the appropriation of the $1.1 million from water meter and valve replacement project in year 3. That came out with favorable recommendation and was passed earlier this evening.
Rules, Councilman Milan.
Yes, rules and ordinance met on July 30th at 5 p.m. here in the Harvey Room. Started off with approval of minutes, which we did not approve. Put that on to the next meeting. We needed one change to it. I did, as the chair, have a statement for public comment and public reporting. Spoke about First Amendment rights and public allowed to report on meetings. Public comment policy, I did put that forth to the committee. I was reading up on how some committees handle public comment, and there's a few throughout the state that actually follow the policy for their committees. So I put it out to our committee to review it and just have to make a couple of changes to it. Public comment, I did get public comment from Councillor Swope about a parking study that was sent to me. There was also a question on the policy that I did present to the committee, which was about 2 minutes for committee members to speak, which I did clarify. And then there was a request from Councillor Swope for more detail on the agenda. Then there is Mr. Dowd who spoke about the resignation of 2 councilors. So on the agenda, what we did cover was sections 1 to 4 for the rules and procedures. We did not make any additional edits to it. 5.7, we did not make any additional adjustments to that. Sections 8 and 9, we were going to hold off on section 8 until we actually review President Lettieri's public comment and answer period to previous comment. Public comment, which we were going to ask of President Lettieri to this meeting to work through some more ideas for it. The small review for commercial vehicle allowance for small commercial vehicle allowance for resident parking sticker. I did mention that we did submit the parking study, recommended that, and then we would hold off on the small commercial vehicle. It did state that I started a ordinance in the event that we move forward with it, that I will be sending out. So the next thing is about the parking study, and then we did cover the committee new reappointment application resume. Sent up basically the first draft of the state. We got some adjustments on it that we're going to update, and I'll send it back out for the next committee so we can finalize it, and the other non-policy. Then the town, for President Lettieri's submission of the public comment answer previous public comments. That's where we're asking President Lettieri to come so we can work on the agenda for sections 1 to 4.
Thank you. Vice President Swope, public health and safety.
Thank you, President Lettieri. As I said, we have been meeting on the mitigation plan, and as we did tonight, we've come up with a favorable review on it. And that's what we've been spending the last couple of meetings on. We did also present to Councillor Cipolletta our sidewalk and tree proposal, and that's in his hands now, so he's going through that. And also, I did do a draft of a parking proposal, and I sent it to him, and I'll send it to you. I think I sent it to you also. So that's in case we finish that. And can I ask that question too about the parking? Is a parking study Done? Okay. We're not done, I mean, it's a,
We're working on it.
okay, thank you. But anyway, that's it.
Thank you. School department report, school committee met a week ago yesterday. There was nothing substantive. It was a very, very brief meeting just to sign warrants. Update on policy making committees. Board of Appeals has not met. Conservation Commission next meeting is August 5th at 7 o'clock. On the agenda, 252 Court Road, request for determination of applicability of proposed work in a resource area. Same request for 1 Taft Ave. And for 3 Sail Harbor, request for a certificate of compliance for revetment repair project. Town manager's report has been circulated. Before Tony speaks and then you open up for questions, I will ask two, since one is if we could give us an update on the parking study, how that's working. And the second one is to give us an update, which I think is good news, on the software system for the Airbnbs for us to get a better handle on that.
Sure. I'll answer the last question first. Decker Technologies has been contracted. They're in the process of finalizing the letter that will go out to all like I said, they have the algorithm and the software that will be able to identify all the Airbnbs, illegal or not, in town. And then we'll send out the letter to all the ones that are listed online, whether it's, Craigslist, Airbnb, VRBO, wherever, and we'll hit all those people and let them know about our new Airbnb rules, and they have to come in and get a license, so that will start that ball rolling. That'll happen in the next 2 weeks or so. With regard to we're putting the RFP together to put it out to, I've contacted a few companies. I've also taken a look at some recent parking study RFPs that were put out by Andover, Littleton, other towns, just to pick and choose, see what we want to put in there, but that's all getting drafted. It hasn't hit the street yet, but it will shortly. I also hit on there in the town manager report, we had our bonding call with S&P today. We're going out for the additional $25 million for the fire station, and then a couple of million for some water projects. We had a good call with S&P. They're very happy with the progress Winthrop's made and strong financial footing, so I don't anticipate any issues with maintaining our AA+ rating. That was increased a few years ago. And also we talked about, that's the second highest rating they have, AAA is the next one. Some of the things that keep us back from getting to AAA in town is some of our pension liabilities, OPEB really, pension we're pretty good on, but OPEB, the other personnel employee benefits, for retirees and things like that, that is a pretty high number for Winthrop. And also the median income is a little lower than some of the other towns that are in AAA. For example, is AAA income in Ipswich right now around between 155 and 160,000 per year. In Winthrop, it's averages around between 125 and 130. So those are some of the things that keep us from getting to AAA. So hopefully, we can work on our reserve fund balances. We can work on paying down our OPEB liability. And then it's a combination of everything, right? So there's a chance maybe down the road that we'll be able to increase that. But they were very happy with us, and I anticipate we'll keep our bond rating and be able to go out in the street to bond that money. I'm certainly open to the other questions. Sorry.
Before I open it and Dr. Callis here, just thank you again for your street. It's up and going pretty much, and I know we've had some weather issues that has prevented striping from.
Yeah, they're actively rescheduling. I will get a permanent schedule to the town manager hopefully tomorrow. Don't believe it's going to take more than a night or two to complete. Once they get set up, they move pretty quickly. Thank you.
Questions? Vice President Schwartz.
How long will the parking study take, do you think?
I don't even want to guess. It's been a while since I've done one. When we did the sidewalk study a few years ago, that took them 4 or 5 months because they got to collect all the data, do analysis, drive the streets, do a lot of Google map analysis, things like that. So I would guess probably that time frame once we contract with the company. Once I get price to the council, we identify funds, and then we go out to contract with somebody to do it.
There's a lot of data we probably could collect that we already have.
Oh yeah, they'll ask us for that and we'll supply it, but then they'll want to do some of their own data gathering. But yeah, usually
done the engineering. I'm just guessing, I mean, maybe they'll do it quicker, but I'm just wanting to say how long the sidewalk study took, so
Can we try?
we can always ask, absolutely.
Councilor Fano, have anything?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Anything you wanted?
Nope, sorry, like I said, it's been very busy and we're getting everything done. Thank you to Councilor Swope and that team, that was a long process, but I think we ended up with a better product at the end, so I'm happy with it, so thank you for the vote tonight.
The old business, first two items have been done. Third item, Council President requesting a public comment, question and answer period, which Council Milas said is in committee. I will be happy to attend the next meeting. This next agenda item was done. This one has been put off to this meeting. Town Council discussion deletion of rules and ordinance subcommittee. We'll refer that to rules and ordinance for them to come back to us in a relatively quick period of time. I know you have a few things going on, but to have a discussion there and then have it before the council would be good in a quick order. Awesome. There were two items that the council had sent to TSAC. Discuss the one-way, well, do the other one first. Town Council discussed a stop sign. We had asked Councilor Finn requested that, and to look and discuss a stop sign on Lincoln Street at the corner of Brookfield and Beale in both directions, so there would basically be a three-way stop. Beale is a one-way going the other way, so obviously stop sign keep it there. I was at the meeting TSAC had. Basically, TSAC is recommending revisiting Lincoln and Brookfield in 90 days and having DPW replace the faded no parking here at the corner signs in the hope that that will improve visibilities for cars coming off Brookfield. And that was one of the major questions there. We have more cars parking on the Ingleside side of Lincoln Street heading up the hill, and they're getting close to the corner. So when you're coming down Brookfield, you really don't have a good line of sight. There's a faded sign. There is a sign, but Director Calla, as a from the city, will replace that sign. And there is a sign on the side of Lincoln, on that same side of the street coming down towards Brookfield. There is a sign there also. It would be good to take a look at that. They are going to revisit that, but no stop signs. No additional stop signs. Then the other item I requested was a one-way on Court Road. TSAC is recommending Court Road become a one-way from the southwest corner of the intersection of Court and Circuit near 265 Court Road to Pleasant. This distinction is important because Court and Circuit intersect twice. The section of Court between Circuit and Sargent, where Court Road becomes Johnson, would remain two-way at this time so that the cars coming out the south end of Circuit aren't forced back into the maze. Basically what they're saying is they're recommending a one-way from the, southwest, I would say the top of Court Road, where the intersection of Circuit Road is. So there's probably 4 houses that remain on Court Road. After that, that goes into Johnson, that would not be affected. The one-way would come in the direction towards Pleasant Street. For a couple of reasons. One being it would keep parking with the right tires to the curb. It would not have DPW need to change signs from one side of the street to the other, and it seems to be a much better flow. So that has been recommended. The next step for the council would be to have a public hearing, which we will have, and it would require an ordinance change to change the name. There is an ordinance that lists all one-way streets in Winthrop. This would have to be added to that ordinance. So there will be a public hearing in the next meeting. Does anybody have anything to add to this?
Thank you.
Ordinance amendment, use variance. This has been sent by us a while back. My understanding is planning board has 65 days to report back to us with a recommendation and have a public hearing. They did start their public hearing, but they have not finished it. They continued it. However, they have passed the 65-day mark. We are required to have a public hearing, which we will have at the next meeting, and we can, my impression is we can vote on it after the public hearing. So this will be voted on at our next meeting. Hopefully, we will have some sort of recommendation from the planning board. In the meantime, if not, we can go. Yeah. Tree ordinance amendment is currently still with the planning board.
Yeah, they continue that.
They need some additional language.
Small commercial vehicle allowance, this is still in committee. Video recordings of committee meetings to be posted. Now, I did talk to Michael Ball a couple times, and I know Denise talked to him. My understanding is everything is up. If there is not something up, please let us know. Because I did go on WCAT YouTube, and they had a list, and you could click on it for different committees, and it would come up, the dates and the meetings. Yeah.
And then I update them every Thursday.
Vice President Schwartz.
Just one
Yep.
thing, President, Lettieri, could we make sure that they do closed caption on WCAT?
Yes, what did he say about closed caption? They
Started doing
They
it
can
here.
start doing it right.
Yeah.
they've started doing closed caption on our meetings
Okay.
here. And I don't know, he did mention something about closed caption. I will follow up on that.
You can do it.
But I think he can.
I think it's really important for a lot of people that have hearing losses.
Motion to amend town council rules, as Councilor Millar said, they're almost through, but they still have a few more sections to do. Hopefully that would be better, so. New business, there's one appointment that I did make, Council President has appointed, which the application and resume is in the packet, Council President has appointed Shirley Reed to the Beautification Committee and or Cultural Council. Now, looking at the schedule again, we did look at it at the last meeting, and this is a different item. This is something that Vice President has talked to me about many times over the past 6 months. I was trying to have a roundtable council meeting just for the council together, which we've had twice in the past. I thought it would be better to have it open to the public. So this would be to amend the council rules to change our regularly scheduled August 18th meeting to a special meeting with a limited agenda so we can get through these items that we've been discussing tonight, and then discuss a town council strategic plan, basically looking for council goals and a strategic plan for the town. I would ask each committee, each member of the council to come relatively prepared to the meeting with their thoughts already in their minds. And we could discuss, I hope to have some sort of agenda out for that specific meeting to see how we can roll it out. So we're talking about maybe a PowerPoint or maybe just discussion amongst the councilors. This would probably take 2 meetings. But town manager thinks this is important. I know Vice President Swope thinks this is important. And I think it's a good idea to try to have an open dialogue with the citizens here watching us to see what individuals' thoughts and goals are and strategic planning for Winthrop's future, especially staffing. So, Vice President Swope?
I finished reading the WIN 2030 plan.
Which is on the website.
And it's on the website, and it suggests that if you have a chance to take a look at that before we get to the meeting, and then for us to think about what we want to accomplish if we're going to go through this plan. And at least that's a good start.
Yeah, I think it is important to look at that and see what has been done and not done in that. Well, so do I have a motion to put it on the table to suspend council rules for August 13th meeting, make it a special meeting with limited agenda and include a discussion for town council strategic plan? Motion by Councilor Dunham, second by Councilor Tassinari. Any discussion? Councilor Dunham.
Just concerned about the public hearing for the use variance, public hearing for the Court Road one way. Can we include those as the limited agenda items?
Yes, that's what we discussed. I think there's still business that we want to make sure we get done. All right, there's a motion that's been seconded. Roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Yes.
Council Tassinari.
Yes.
Council Millar.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano.
Yes.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yes.
Vice President Swope.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Yes, motion is passed, thank you. Public comments. Mr. John, Mr. Moore.
Hi, Joe Morgan, Precinct 4. I hope you're getting used to my voice by now. I'd just like to comment on the Revere Street project. I'm so glad that it's almost over. And in the line painting, but I was curious to what the crosswalk materials would be. If they're the thermoplastic, which is the high visibility, which is a blue or green, at any time there's moisture on the road, those become very slippery for walking and for cars. If you ever come across one of those and the road is wet, you could hear the car tires going over it. It's a pretty chilling sound to me. I know these thermoplastic high visibility crosswalks have a longer lifespan. They don't have to be painted as the old lines. I just would like to, it's probably already etched in stone, but in the future, when these crosswalks are due for resurfacing, that another material be used. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Cal.
Yeah, real quick, just want to speak to the, I'm very happy about the court road decision. Again, I serve on TSAC with Chief Calandra. And I do think that making Court Road a one-way is certainly the proper thing to do safety-wise. That said, I don't know the full scope of the parking study. I know TSAC is challenged a lot with trying to make decisions on one-way and two-way roads. And I would love to see the one-way, two-way study added to the parking study. I'm not looking to add cost to the study, but it's easily 25 to 30% of our roadways in town don't meet the requirements of the two-way road with parking. You need a 10-foot travel lane minimum. So one-way street with parking, you need an 8-foot parking stall. So you need 18-foot minimum for a one-way street with parking on one side. Two-way travel, you need 28 feet with parking on one side. You need 36 feet if you want to have two-way travel with parking on both sides. So, and I'm not looking to, to change the traffic pattern in town, but there are so many roadways that you just, many of them in the Maze area, we just changed Court Road. But I think it's certainly worth identifying in a study so that we know, whether or not you want, to adopt the policy that TSAC has already adopted to make these decisions. Otherwise, they come to our committee and we really can't even make a recommendation on it because they don't meet the policy that we've established. So certainly think it's worthwhile adding to your study and just identifying the roads and let them recommend, if you want to keep the road two-way travel, it's gonna affect the parking on that road. And if you're doing a parking study, it should certainly kind of go hand in hand.
I'd like to ask town manager to do that, and I think the DPW director said he's willing to subsidize the additional cost.
Honestly, I was already looking into that, yeah.
Thank you for a second. Tom.
Tom DeDarian, Precinct 3 and your beloved tree warden, but I'm gonna say something that's not about trees. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I was wondering, the number 300, that's the number, 300. Okay, how did I get to that number? I was wondering, what is a public parking space worth? Well, I looked at the average property tax for an average homeowner in Winthrop, the average square feet, and I divided one into the other, and then I multiplied it by the square feet of a public parking space, their average size, and I got the number 300. So that would be a source of revenue for the town, $300, and you have your parking space. And then we could use the $300 to buy trees. Well, I wasn't gonna talk about trees. Okay, but anyway, those parking spaces have a great deal of value. So I just want to throw that number out, 300. You can modify that. But now, what do we charge? $10 for parking? Five. Yeah. Money.
I see that now.
I'd like to just say, Marcy Hamilton, Precinct 2, I'd like to say this meeting has been very calm and moving forward, and I appreciate that. Last meeting I came to, I had to leave because of the decorum that was happening at that time, and I appreciate your respect for each other, the respect for the audience or your constituents, and I hope moving forward, we will have the money for a strategic plan, because there's the elephant in the room that we haven't even whispered about, and that is the state's help. And we need to know that this state needs to help us, because we have been falling behind, and I'm sure that we will be falling behind in the school systems. I'm sure that we'll be falling behind in our infrastructure and our strategic plan if we don't become a partner with the state. And I'd like you all to consider that, especially after the exemption case was thrown out. And I would like you to rethink your views on how you can make this town, this community thrive, because your children deserve it, your elders deserve it, and all your taxpayers deserve it. So unless we want to be taxed more as a homeowner, as a student, or as anything that in our cars or our parking spaces, we need to partner with our state. It is a law, constitutional law, and that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Erin Barcelos, Precinct 5. I just wanted to just voice, and I know that y'all can't answer me, but the traffic study that was done back in 2021 on the Main Street and Pleasant Street intersection, it pointed out a lot of ADA issues and safety issues, and still to this day, if you want to cross that street, there's only 2 buttons to press in the 4 intersection. There's only 2 crosswalks for that giant intersection. And luckily, if y'all ever want to take a time, you can sit out there and watch how easy it is for people to cross the street. But you could also go down to the police station and watch it on the vlog camera that we have right there that watches it. So you guys can just all just watch it. So, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to read from the minutes 2 weeks ago. Concerns Erin Barcelos, Precinct 5. Reads an email she sent to the town council in reference to procedural disputes, ongoing drama during meetings. What is going to happen? How can this be resolved? To not happen in our meetings. It's a very personal issue with me, these comments, because a few months ago, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, I was standing out here by the stairs that lead up to the front of the town hall, and I was accosted by people wielding flashlights in my face. It's an ongoing case. It's against the law. The law started in California about 30 years ago, the Bain Act, the Bain law, I don't know which one it is. Now it's a mass general law. It's against the law to blind somebody with lighting. Of course, blinded by lighting, you're left unprotected. It's close quarters then. So the ongoing drama that was talked about at the last meeting, how can this be resolved to not happen in 9 minutes? This is a court case, by the way. you can resolve the drama by telling Erin and the other person that blinded me,
We could just speak in general terms.
the two women that are sitting right here in the audience, that blinded me with their phones to, in order to resolve this matter, is for these two people to stay home. Thank you very much.
That was so close.
Time, yes.
Cynthia? Cynthia? Can you hear us, Cynthia?
Oh, wait. Cynthia's there. Can I ask the town manager if we just talked about Revere Street TIPS project. The next phase of that TIPS project potentially would be from McGee's Corner to the bridge, correct? Have we applied for that yet?
We're on the list, we haven't got a final TIPS approval yet, current state, but we're doing the engineering work. I think we had $100,000 this year to keep going, because we've got to do the engineering work to get to
10%.
10%, that's what I thought, yeah. 10% of the project cost, and then once we get that engineering work done, then we'll keep going on it. But we have, that's through with Mass DOT, I believe. We're on their list, and then we have to apply to the Mass TIPS program after that. We're working on it though, but just keep in mind, and you and I have talked about this, but as we get forward in that progress, one of the largest expenses for the town, excluding utility work and the engineering work, with the easements. We had the ARPA money before that paid for almost $800,000 worth of easements. That it'll be a similar amount of money, maybe a little more, closer to $1 million for that stretch of roadway. So we have to think about where we're going to get the funds for that, because that was on the town to supply to pay for those temporary and permanent easements for that.
Point of order, Mr. President. What does the charter or the council or even open public meeting law say about aggressively discouraging participation by regular citizens in an open meeting? I'd like the town attorney to investigate that, and I'd like to request a detail officer here for the remainder of the meetings while we have that kind of aggressive discouragement of participation. Thank you.
Cynthia's not.
Cynthia?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, finally, sorry. Yes, I wanted to make a little announcement that
You
the
just,
town.
I'm sorry, Cynthia, can you just identify yourself and precinct?
Oh, yes, Cynthia Hastings, Precinct 3.
Thank you.
I wanted to let everyone know that the town, the DCR has given the town 2 beach wheelchairs that are available for use on Winthrop Beach. They're available at the little beach house at the corner of Mermaid and Shore Drive. And they have inflatable tires, or inflated tires, and they're very cool. They look like a lot of fun, actually. So I don't know if people know about them. So I wanted to let everybody on the town council and everybody in the audience know and spread the word.
Thank you very much. August 11th, 5:30 p.m. There's the public meeting that was discussed earlier on Tileston, Girdlestone, and Pico drainage projects. August 22nd to the 27th, early voting, state primary, September 1st, 2026. Location for early voting will be normal business hours in the town hall. August 29th, Deer Island, 12 to 3, accessible Adventures Commission on Disabilities. So, encourage people to attend. Seeing no further business in front.
Just quick question, August 11th, that meeting is in this room?
Yeah, 5:30.
5:30
in the RV area.
And we will have a Zoom link for that?
Yeah.
Yes. So that will be on the town calendar. Seeing no further business in front of the council, I consider this meeting adjourned.